250 years ago, a spark was ignited in Philadelphia that changed the course of human history forever. What started as a daring declaration that all are created equal and endowed with unalienable rights became the bedrock of the most enduring experiment in self-governance the world has ever seen. Today, we celebrate 2.5 centuries of the American spirit, a journey defined by restless ambition, tireless courage, and an unwavering belief that our best days are always ahead of us. We aren't just a nation of borders, but a nation of big ideas, and even bigger hearts. From the innovators reaching for the stars to the neighbors looking out for one another, the pulse of liberty beats as strong today as it did in 1776. As we look toward the next horizon, we carry that torch of freedom forward, knowing that the great American experiment is a mission we renew with every generation. We remain the lighthouse of hope in the land of the free, proving that when we stand together, there is absolutely nothing we cannot achieve. Happy 250th America. Here's to the future we're building right now.
We'll preserve the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
No fear, no political correctness, no wokeism. You're listening to Underground USA.
Thanks for tuning in to Underground USA's Corner of the Bar podcast. My name is Frank Salvato. Well, here we are, July 4th, 2026, the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It is a milestone, and we should all be very proud to be celebrating that milestone. I don't usually do this, but I want to turn you on to a podcast, and because you're listening to this, I know you listen to podcasts, so there's a great podcast out there called History That Doesn't Suck. And in one of the episodes, he's talking about the War of 1812 and how Francis Scott Key wrote the words for the Star-Spangled Banner. There are 4 verses to that song, and it's really a song that questions until the 4th verse. So I thought it a good move to actually let the professor from that podcast recite the poem that turned into our Star-Spangled Banner. Because in the first and the second verses, as Francis Scott Key is penning these words, he doesn't know if the fort has actually fallen or not. So you hear the inflections in the professor's voice, and you understand that there's questions. It was hit or miss. They didn't know. And I think it's a wonderful thing to reflect on as we celebrate 250 today.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming? And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave? On the shore dimly seen through the mists of the deep, where the foe's haughty host in dread silence reposes, what is that which the breeze o'er the towering steep, as it fitfully blows, half conceals, half discloses? Now it catches the gleam of the morning's first beam, in full glory reflected, now shines in the stream. 'Tis the Star-Spangled Banner, oh long may it wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. And where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country, should leave us no more? Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps' pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph doth wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, thus be it ever when free men shall stand between their loved home and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just, and this be our motto: in God is our trust. and the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Long may it wave. When we come back, Kyle and I talk about the 250th anniversary, where we stand, where we came from, and where we're going at the corner of the bar.
You're listening to Underground USA.
Our constitutional republic is under siege by the neo-Jacobins of the radical left, pushing socialist agendas that erode our freedoms. Engaging with your elected officials isn't just a right, it's a duty. Your voice ensures they uphold the rights of the individual, protect the Constitution, and resist the left's overreach. Visit govtracks.us to contact your elected officials and stay informed on legislation. The midterms are coming. Together, we can safeguard liberty and make sure America stays on the right track.
You're listening to Underground USA.
Welcome back to Underground USA's Corner of the Bar podcast. My name is Frank Salvato. As I do every Monday and Friday, I talk with Kyle Warren of The Kyle Warren Show, broadcast out of Los Angeles and syndicated nationally on WGUL AM 860, The Answer, out of Sarasota and Tampa, Florida.
As we celebrate and mark 250 years for our great nation, it is okay to unabashedly love your country, to tell people about that, to fly the American flag. It's okay to talk about history. It's okay to look at all the great different aspects of our nation, because that's what's also going to form the future. And right now you've got some elements that want to do everything they can to make sure that that future for America is darkness. Make no mistake, whether they call them a Democrat socialist, a Marxist, or a communist, what they bring is darkness. But what America has been about since day one has been about being that shining city on a hill. I loved it when President Reagan would speak about it as such. That's why people keep trying to get to this country. That's why people have come to this country historically. And that's why it needs to be preserved. And it should not be taken down at all. Can you imagine, Frank? Here we are, 250 years. It seems like just yesterday we were collecting those bicentennial quarters that you get in change from the supermarket. But it's changed in so many ways, but there's so many things that are the same. But the future has to be bright for our country, and we have to ensure that.
Well, yeah, and that's the Constitution. I know we're celebrating the Declaration of Independence. You've got a few years to go before we can do the 250 for the Constitution, but it's there in the Constitution. We are always striving to achieve a more perfect union. And I think that's what a lot of the people who quest for that darkness don't understand. We're not a perfect nation. We're not a perfect people. The framers and the founders knew this. They knew they were creating a government for an imperfect people, but they tasked us to always be striving to be better. And over the years, over 250 years, that has definitely been the case. And today and tomorrow, and starting with yesterday, because the vote on the Declaration of Independence took place yesterday on July 2nd. They all voted on the final verbiage on the 4th and then made it public. They had to print copies of it for the people. We should be celebrating the achievements and the things that we've overcome to be a nation of e pluribus unum, instead of trying to tear it down and replace it with some other kind of ideology. So yeah, 250, it's a hell of a milestone. And like I said to Chad just before we came on, let's hope we make 300.
Yes, indeed. Well, and Frank, there are young people alive today being born, or if you're 10 years old today in another 50 years, I mean, you could be around to see the 300th mark. I mean, that's pretty incredible to think about. And I'm hoping, and of course we need to do everything we can to ensure that the America that they celebrate at 300 is going to be stronger, and it's going to not be influenced by these alien ideologies, which are the cause célèbre right now. It's just something that we have to, by almost the sheer force of our will, to make sure that this doesn't happen.
Well, you hit to the two words right there, the cause célèbre. It's something that the darkness hangs its hat on every time it comes around. If it isn't the Federalists and the Whigs going at it, it's the Republicans and the Democrats. And we should embrace the debate. That's something that's intrinsic in Americanism. We've always had a rocky road when it comes to government, but we've always had the cool rules that help us achieve advancement rather than retreat. And what I see today, especially with the very far left, is an idea of people who supported ideology that want to fundamentally change what we are and discard those cool rules. That can't be. And that's what we have to fight to preserve. Our rights, every single one of them, outlined in the Bill of Rights, especially in the stricture of the U.S. Constitution. It's important to find that middle ground every single time. I know the people on the right and the people on the left are going to say they don't want a middle ground, but that's where we've always existed. Mm-hmm. We existed in Independence Hall on compromise. The debate that brought the Declaration of Independence to a vote was pretty vicious. There were some people who were adamant that they wanted to remain loyal to the king and stretched it out. If it wasn't for John Adams being the bulwark of bringing it to a vote, we'd still be British colonies. So compromise is always something that has to happen. But we also have to realize that compromise has to protect what we've already achieved and set that platform for where we want to go. And that's all within the cool rules, like the Constitution and the Bill of Rights I call the cool rules, because they are. They test time. What was valid in 1776 for the Bill of Rights that had yet to be adopted is still valid today. So, 250, let's go 350.
Frank, history is so important. We're thinking about it, of course, today, as always, but especially on a day like today, in the July 4th Independence Day weekend. And it seems to me that a lot of young people in this country, unfortunately, do not know the history because the education system has been hijacked very effectively. But the so-called Democrat socialists and the communists, they know history very well, and that's why I think they try to supplant it.
They understand their history the way they want to see it. They believe that we can try it one more time, and we'll get it right this time because the right people are here, and the formula is correct, and we just need to do it in a nation that has the freedom to allow us to try to do it. Well, that's not the way it works. When if they were to achieve their goal, then the freedom to attempt to achieve their goal would be over. So I don't give them any quarter. We can't give them any quarter in this country. You can believe what you want to believe, but you can't supplant what we have in the matter of laws and our system of government. And something we have to be a little bit guarded about, because what the left wants to do, and it really was supercharged under Obama and Biden, is to bring in people who they believe will devote themselves to their political cause, to dilute the rights and the power of the citizens' vote. who are true and real American citizens. And if you take a look at Dearborn, Michigan, you take a look at Minneapolis, Minnesota, a couple other places around the United States, you see enclaves of people who did not want to assimilate, who were brought here and pretty much installed in the same place. So they didn't dilute. They didn't dilute and assimilate into the American culture. And they've become voting blocks. And that's why you see people like Talib and Omar in power in Washington, D.C. They don't vote for their American constituents. And I think Omar said this point blank not too long ago, that she's more concerned about the Somalis than she is about the people in the United States. So she votes for what's best for Somalis. Well, that's not what we're supposed to be doing here. And that's what these enclaves of different ethnic backgrounds who are installed into the United States, is what they do. And if you talk to any Somali who came here through the legal process, they don't like it. You talk to anyone from Mexico or Central or South America who came here legitimately through our legal system, they don't like it. They're some of the most vehement patriots that I know.
Oh, yeah.
Because they wanted to be American. You know, it's okay to be proud of your heritage, and I wholeheartedly hope that you are proud of your heritage. But you have to be an American first and then be proud of your heritage.
Yes, exactly right. You know, earlier in the show, we heard a little bit of Neil Diamond's song America from the jazz singer from that great movie that he made back in the almost 1980, somewhere in there. And every time I ever heard that song, and even when it was popular back then, I had this picture of people coming to America, just like it talks about in the song, but they were coming to do just what you said, Frank. They were coming here to be Americans. They were striving. They were huddling close and hanging on to the dream, as the song says. But it was never in my mind that it was just, I've just crossed the border and set up shop. I mean, that's not what this is about at all.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be a destination so that you can grift.
Right.
It's a destination so you can embrace opportunity. And that's the big thing that we've lost here with the Obama and the Biden mindset about people coming in here. They did it for political reasons, which is despicable. You know, there are people who do want to come to the United States to embrace the opportunity and freedom and to be American. We see them every day during naturalization ceremonies. They're proud to be here. They're happy and proud. And they strive to assimilate, they understand what e pluribus unum means. Mm-hmm. You know, we're a unique people. We're from every walk of life, every nation on the planet. They all came here to be a new thing. 250 years ago, being an American was a brand new thing. And when you look at, you know, some of the times that the time that other countries have been on the planet, we're still kind of young. But the freedom that this new, unique people actually achieved has turned us into one of the greatest countries in human history, especially for the advancement of people. There was no middle class in 1776 anywhere in the world. It was the American system that created a middle class, upward mobility and opportunity for all. So these people who try to tear the United States down, they don't get it. They don't understand e pluribus unum. They don't understand the striving for a more perfect union. And you're right. It's because of the education system here in the United States. It has been taken over by people who are from the darkness, who have bought into socialism and communism, and they don't teach the greatness of America anymore, because in order for their ideologies to bear fruit, we have to be bad. But I don't think the people in France in World War II, when they saw the U.S. soldier come in, I don't think they thought we were very bad.
Yeah, they were liberators. Yeah.
Yeah, Italy, the entirety of occupied occupied Europe. Once the Americans showed up with the British, and the other countries of the Free West, once we showed up, it was celebratory.
Yeah.
We were wonderful. And if you don't take my word for it in the contemporary, just look at some of the things the people who were here for the FIFA Cup, for the World Cup, have been saying. The whole propaganda campaign that America's bad, that they've been being fed for years and decades even, it was flushed down the toilet. They were stunned. Americans are nice. America's a beautiful place. I mean, you get a hold of a group of Scots from over in Scotland, they can't sing the praises enough. So the eyes from the outside, once they come and visit, they're amored with the United States. They understand why people who are proud of being American are proud of being an American. They don't quite understand why the people from the darkness continue to live there, because all you've really got to do is step out of the darkness into the light.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I said, proof positive with the crowd that came from countries from all over the world to watch the soccer matches. They were stunned. A lot of them were without words to say, because it's not what they expected. It wasn't the evil place that they expected. It was beautiful, and they loved it. And maybe on the 250th anniversary, we can love it too for a little while.
Absolutely. And can you imagine what some of these Democrat socialists, so-called, what they must think of these Europeans and people coming in? They must say, like the old cartoon villains, curses, curses. They're finding out the truth. We have to do something about this. Just be awful.
we have to put them in re-education camps to get their socialism back in shape.
Right. Driver Ron, who picks us up in the Denver area, as a matter of fact, he had such a great suggestion. I want to give him the credit for this. And he mentioned about Red Skelton. Many years ago on TV, Red Skelton gave a brief presentation about the Pledge of Allegiance. And it's really something that just goes right to the heart of what we're talking about and where we're at right now with this July 4th celebration. So, Frank, we're going to listen into that just for a moment, and then we'll comment on it.
Sounds good to me. All right,
so hold on there, Frank. And folks, this is, again, Red Skelton. And can you imagine that this was broadcast? This was where so much of the country was at a much kind of different time in our history. And that's why we need to remember it. So let's listen in.
A teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell, this is, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, O glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United, that means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. all divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
Wow, very powerful stuff. As I said many years ago on television, Red Skelton made that presentation, and Frank Salvato of UndergroundUSA.com. Listening to that this morning, what are your thoughts on? Obviously, this is from a ways back, and I'm glad that he makes the correction there of what happened following that from the days when he was a small boy. But what do you think?
I think words matter. Words matter. Words have meaning. And when you listen to him explain that, and it's a great spot, you understand that it's not just something that you say without thinking about it. I know children, if they do say the Pledge of Allegiance in class anymore, they gloss over it. He's right. It gets monotonous. You just get up, you say the words, you sit back down, school starts. Mm-hmm. But the meaning behind it is something that has moved people to sacrifice their lives and their livelihoods. It's incredible what we've done over the last 250 years to be here. And we don't just think of war, but we've had to wage war in order to maintain our freedom. And that's because every generation is tasked with making sure that you keep a hand on that freedom, on that liberty, on that set of cool rules, that they still reign supreme. Today there's a lot of people who point out that there's groups and factions that really don't want to see it succeed. And that's why he's right. It's everybody's country. It's every citizen's country. Yours, mine, everybody else's. And we are tasked with moving it into the future. If all you're going to do is sit back and wait for government to do it, well, you're going to be really disappointed, because it's our job to provide oversight to these people, and sometimes they need to be taken to task. So when they say don't talk politics, it's impolite, I say bull. Yeah. It's our obligation to make sure that we are astute in the political happenings of the day, and it's mandatory that we provide that oversight. So words matter. The words that were penned by Jefferson, Adams, and Franklin, and a couple others that we're celebrating on the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th for sure, those words matter. And I urge everybody, it's not a lengthy document, but it's something that we only know a part of. look it up today or tomorrow. Read the whole thing. Read the Declaration of Independence. Read the grievances, because some of those grievances we could actually relate to today.
That's right. Yeah.
Because we haven't provided the oversight that we need to. But we have to finish with what they said at the end. We have to devote our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. A foreign thought today, really, when you think about it. A lot of people don't understand what the importance of honor is. But we have to pledge that to each other so that we can move this forward, so we can hit 300 and 350. If you're looking for something to watch John Adams tomorrow.
Exactly.
The HBO thing. It was not an easy. Getting here wasn't easy, and we take it for granted a lot of the time. So think of July 4th, 2026 as a gigantic 24-hour teachable moment. If you have kids, explain where we came from and the sacrifices that were made before you go and eat your hot dogs and hamburgers, whatever you're grilling, and watch the fireworks. It's important because those fireworks celebrate something that has never been done before in the history of man. Government of and by the people.
America First isn't just a slogan. It's a promise to put your family's security and prosperity before globalist interests. We're talking about achieving a golden age where our borders are finally locked down, ending the chaos and protecting our communities from drugs and crime. It's about Liberation Day for our economy, where fair trade replaces the great ripoff that hollowed out our cities and towns. Think about it. Manufacturing is coming home, creating millions of jobs for hard-working Americans. We're cutting the red tape and returning power to you by sending education control back to the states, where parents actually have a voice. On the world stage, it's peace through strength. No more endless wars, no matter what the propagandist left says. Just bold leadership that commands respect and keeps us safe without wasting American lives or treasure. This is about restoring American greatness to a time before the destruction of Obama and Biden, and making sure our best days are right in front of us, because when America wins, you win.
So as we celebrate 250 years of our country being created today, let's give some thought to how it came to be. The courage that it took the members of the Second Continental Congress to vote for independence in the face of a nation that was the strongest in the world, and by anybody's reasoning of the time, a force that could have squashed us like a grape. It didn't. We persevered. We were born. I'm going to leave you with the words from the HBO special John Adams. This is what John Adams said in his closing remarks before the vote on independence.
President recognizes Mr. Adams of Massachusetts.
Objects of the most stupendous magnitude. Measures which will affect the lives of millions, born and unborn, are now before us. We must expect a great expense of blood to obtain them. But we must always remember that a free constitution of civil government cannot be purchased at too dear a rate, as there is nothing on this side of Jerusalem of greater importance to mankind. My worthy colleague from Pennsylvania has spoken with great ingenuity and eloquence. He has given you a grim prognostication of our national future, but where he foresees apocalypse, I see hope. I see a new nation ready to take its place in the world. Not an empire, but a republic. And a republic of laws, not men. Gentlemen, we are in the very midst of revolution. The most complete, unexpected, and remarkable of any in the history of the world. How few of the human race have ever had an opportunity of choosing a system of government for themselves and their children. I am not without apprehensions, gentlemen. But the end we have in sight is more than worth all the means. I believe, sirs, that the hour has come. My judgment approves this measure, and my whole heart is in it. All that I have, all that I am, and all that I hope in this life, I am now ready to stake upon it. While I live, let me have a country. A free country.
That these colonies are, and of a right ought to be, free and independent states, and that all political connection between them and the country of Great Britain is, and of a right ought to be, totally dissolved.
New Hampshire. New Hampshire votes yes. Rhode Island.
Rhode Island votes yes.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts votes yes.
New York.
New York has yet to receive new instructions from its constituent assembly. We therefore respectfully abstain.
Connecticut. Connecticut votes yes. New Jersey.
New Jersey votes yes.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania votes yes.
Delaware.
Delaware votes yes.
Virginia.
Virginia votes yes.
Maryland.
Maryland votes yes.
North Carolina.
North Carolina votes yes.
South Carolina.
South Carolina votes yes.
Georgia.
Georgia votes yes.
The vote stands 12 for independence, none against, with one abstention. The resolution carries.
I believe his plea and his words, so eloquent, were so important, and it did move the entirety of the Congress, except for New York because they abstained, to vote for independence and a very tough road ahead. So happy 250th birthday, America. You deserve to be honored today. We should all be proud to be part of this great American experiment, and we all must make sure that we're striving to make this a more perfect union with every generation that we have. It's important to preserve freedom and liberty for future generations. And as Ronald Reagan said, we're only just one generation away from losing that freedom. So it's important to talk about it. It's important to share your feelings about it. And it's important to make sure that the younger generations understand fully American history. That's the obligation. If that's the only thing that you do, is explain Americanism and the history of the United States and the things it's achieved and why freedom and liberty are so important, then you've done your job. But it's up to us to make sure that the United States of America sees 300 and 350 and 400 and so on. If you like the podcast, please head on over to undergroundusa.com and subscribe. It brings every podcast, every article, everything we do directly into your email box, circumventing the censors that like to manipulate history. We don't want to manipulate history. We want to provide history. We want to have access to accurate history. You've been listening to Underground USA's Corner of the Bar podcast. No fear, no political correctness, and no wokeism. My name is Frank Salvato. God bless America.
Our republic, a government of the people, by the people, for the people, is founded on principles of individual liberty, private property, and limited government. Marxism stands in direct opposition to these ideals. It seeks to abolish private ownership and concentrate power in an all-encompassing state apparatus. History teaches us that Marxist regimes inevitably lead to authoritarianism, economic decline, and the erosion of personal freedoms. The promise of equality under this ideology comes at a grave cost: the loss of liberty itself. To preserve our republican form of government and safeguard future generations' freedoms, we must remain vigilant against any additional advance of Marxist thought within our society. For those who wish to understand this threat more deeply, we at Underground USA recommend Hillsdale College's free course, available online, titled Marxism, Socialism, and Communism. We encourage you to explore this valuable resource. Educate yourself thoroughly on this dangerous ideology, because knowledge is our strongest defense.
A free and independent media is the backbone of our great republic. So it's crucial to have media outlets that aren't influenced by big tech censorship or the leftist mainstream media complex. But that means supporting journalistic outlets that bring us the truth without spinning facts to push a narrative. For less than the cost of a cup of coffee once a month at Starbucks, you can support the free speech mission of undergroundusa.com, an independent, reader-supported, and sometimes irreverent podcast and publication that gives you the real story without the bias. Go to undergroundusa.com/UUSA. That's undergroundusa.com/UUSA to receive a 25% discount on an annual subscription, bringing every new podcast and article directly into your email inbox, circumventing the censors and fact-checkers. Remember, knowledge is power, and staying informed is one of the best ways to protect our republic. Go out there and seek the truth, my friends. Subscribe to undergroundusa.com today.